Hi, everybody. My name is Zeb Wellborn. I am president of the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce. And today I am here with Heidi Gallegos from the Brea Chamber of Commerce. So Heidi, you are ending your career, and I don't know if it's even ended yet or not, but can you talk about how long you've been in the chamber industry and what your future looks like?
Sure, Zeb. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And yes, March 31st will be my last day, not necessarily in chamber world, so to speak, but with the Brea Chamber of Commerce. 15 years in the nonprofit chamber industry, and it has been just a wonderful ride. I have been truly blessed to be part of this industry.
You mentioned that you're not necessarily leaving the chamber world, but what do you have planned for the future?
What I'd like to do, and one of my passions, is governance practices. I've had substantial amount of training, not only with the Institute for Organizational Management that the U.S. Chamber of Commerce puts on, but through other organizations as well, in terms, again, of good governance practices, meaning learning what your role is as staff and what the role is of the board. And when nonprofits are following good governance practices, they are able to fulfill the mission and direction and vision of their organization. So I'm looking forward to that, not only with chambers, but with other nonprofits, to be able to give them the structure, what they need to have both parties, both board and staff, work together to build that organization and, again, fulfill their vision and mission. So I'll be doing some consulting, and I'll still be here in Southern California, and still be able to support the work of chambers of commerce that I love, because I really do believe in chambers.
Talk to me a little bit about that. What is the biggest mistake or biggest challenge that you've come across, or the people you've been talking with when it comes to that issue?
What I find a lot of times with nonprofit boards, and particularly in chamber work, is that someone will get on the board, will be a professional, or maybe even a small business owner, and they feel that their role on the board is to run the chamber. And that's really not their role. That's why you have a chief executive officer like yourself or myself. We run the day-to-day. And so it's helping board members understand really what their role is. They have the fiduciary responsibility to organization, the duty of care, duty of loyalty. Their job is to ask good questions, oversight, direction, and then you hold the exec accountable for results. And so that's where really working through that process to help them understand that, no, you're not going to come in and do the financials, or you're not going to do the computer work or write letters or things like that. That's what you pay your exec for. Mm-hmm. So it's really helping them understand what their role is and what their role isn't. And that's kind of what I see, not only with chambers of commerce, but also nonprofits. You go in, well-meaning people, good heart, want to do the right thing, but it gets commingled of staff and board and who's doing what. And you really need to be able to pull it apart, to be able to say, this is your lane. We can see each other and we can communicate to each other. But this is your role and this is my role. And Deb, if you can indulge me here for a second, there's a local organization in the San Bernardino, Los Angeles area that I did a governance training for. And what I use, if you could paint the visual, it is a local farm. And so you've got your little girl who loves farm animals, and she's on one side of the picket fence. And then you've got the animals that are on the other side of the fence. And so the analogy or metaphor here is that one side is going to be the board and the other side is going to be staff. We can see each other through the picket fence. We can communicate to each other, but I'm not hopping over doing the vision and direction. That's the role of the board. And neither is the little girl hopping over onto where the animals are, telling staff on how to do their job. It's to really help organizations get away from the micromanaging, because that's when I see nonprofits tend to downturn. Staff gets frustrated, the board gets frustrated, and I think if you understand your role, then you can work in a cohesive manner and really do wonderful things for the organization.
What's a big challenge that you faced in your career, and how did you solve that challenge?
Gosh, there were two that come to mind. The first one was the economic downturn of October of 2008. That following year, 2009, was really a challenge. I mean, we lost 62 members in a matter of months. They simply went out of business. That was a huge challenge. And so it was working to be able to navigate and get small businesses funding and be able to give them the support that they need to be able to get them through the next 12 to 18 months. And I am grateful for that experience, as hard as it was, because then we enter into COVID-19 and where there were government shutdowns. We didn't know what was going to happen. I mean, it literally was sometimes a day-to-day or an hour-to-hour what is going to happen in the different changes that were going on. So that economic downturn of 2008, 2009 prepared me for COVID, and we really sprang into action in order to be able to save our small businesses. Zeb, I know you were part of the Save Small Business Coalition to be able to look at business interruption insurance. And then when we found that wasn't viable, all right, how do we work together to be able to get funding on the federal level to these small businesses? During the last 18 to 24 months, I mean, it was exhausting, and I know it's exhausting for you too. Again, just when you think you're going to go one direction, there's a press conference, and nope, we're going in this direction. And the need was so great for our small businesses is that we couldn't get resources, whether they were human resources or fiscal resources, to these small businesses fast enough. So the SBA was bottlenecked. Our Small Business Development Center was bottlenecked, but that's where Chamber shined. And so whether it was 2009 or even here the last 24 months, there were challenges and they were exhausting, but Chambers really shined at that time to be that voice for business and to ensure that they were getting the resources that they needed in order to stay viable. And I'd like to say here in Brea, we were able to save a majority of, not everyone, but we were able to save a majority of one. And I do believe it was because of Chamber of Commerce. We sprung at me and my staff, we were able to, again, spring into action to be able to, all right, we've got to fix this. Let's help you.
Yeah, one of the things that I feel like has been a challenge for me personally, and probably for a lot of folks in our industry, is I do feel like we a lot of us stepped up and did a lot of good work, and I know that we say that, but I have a tough time articulating that message, I guess you'll say, or what is the examples that you use to showcase the work that you've done in a way that will inspire more businesses to become members or inspire your community to get more involved and engaged with your chamber?
Or coming out of COVID, for our small businesses, they will tell their neighboring businesses where the chamber helped us is that we were the resource for information. And what we did is to get very intentional and specific. So when money became available through the federal government for restaurants, I'm out calling and I'm emailing specific restaurants. There's funding, start applying. When there are county grants for shuttered venues, whether it's dance studios or entertainment, personal emails, phone calls, you need to apply. The money is out there. We became very, very intentional and very specific on how we communicated that information. And that's again where we shined, because they saw that we were, why is my neighbor still in business? I run something very similar. What do they know that I don't know? And then that's when the word of the chamber came out. They're the ones that helped us. Interestingly enough, Seb, I got an email early this morning from a member asking for the type of help that I gave during COVID. So that word, those backyard conversations start to reverberate there, is that your local chamber of commerce, yeah, we're seen as like insurance, but just like your auto or your home, you're sure glad you have it when you need it. And just like the chamber, when you're a member, you'll be sure glad that you're part of the Chamber of Commerce, because we have the most current, up-to-date information to help you stay viable, stay in business, and help you prosper.
I know that's excellent. And then how about a success story from your last 15 years? What's something that you're extremely proud of that you did really well?
There's a couple. Again, I have a passion for small businesses. And I remember distinctly, it was before COVID, so maybe about 4 years ago, a small business owner. She lived here in Brea, had a small business, and her landlord basically gave her 30 days to get out. And she was devastated. Came to my office in tears. I don't want to leave Brea. I live here in Brea. I grew up in Brea. I want to stay here. This is my business. This is my heart and soul. And so we sprung into action. I called one of our local commercial real estate developer, or real estate agent or brokers, one of our commercial real estate brokers. I called up City Hall's upstairs for me. I called to building and planning. I said, we got a small business here that wants to stay in Brea, but they're being evicted basically. What can we do? And so kind of fast forward it, about 45 days later, not only were we able to find her a new location within the city that she loved, we actually got it at a lower price than what she was paying before, a larger location, and her business took off, just took off. So that's kind of the success stories that I love to be able to hear, that we were able to keep you in the community that you loved, and it actually worked out better. And this particular business brags about the chamber all the time, and that we're important in terms of mixers and other large events. And yeah, that's what Ribbons, of course, we love doing all of that. But where the chamber really shines, it's those phone calls, it's the connections, it's the relationships we have. And Zeb, I know you have them, where you can call your community director and say, I've got a problem, we got to solve this. We're problem solvers. And that's there's many success stories here, but that's one that just comes to mind that really speaks to my heart. And she's not the only one. We were able to save businesses and keep them up and running, because in my mind, Zeb, there is nothing that gives more dignity than a job. And if you're able to help a small business owner keep their business and keep their job and keep their employees employed, you've given them dignity. You've given them the ability to be able to create revenue, put food on the table, keep their home. It's a bigger picture than just, your local chamber. No, we give dignity. We create economic growth and prosperity.
Yeah, and that brings me to a thing that I kind of talked with you a little bit before we got on the call today, is a thing that I feel like as chamber leaders that we are the representatives of our business community, that we represent our local business, and in terms of that, in all facets. And I feel like if you're in charge of your business community, that's also something that I'll say you should be compensated for. And so the thing that I like to figure out is how do we create programs, or how do we create revenue opportunities so that we can be business leaders and be competitive with because we are a business, be competitive with our local businesses. And have you run into any programs, or what would it be something that you could share with other chamber colleagues about something that you've done to help increase revenue in your chamber that other chamber executives could take advantage of as well?
Sure, there's a couple different programs. I mean, obviously we do large events. I mean, like you do the Taste of Chino or Chino Hills, we do like the Taste of Brea. But again, I've reframed it. Yes, it's not a foodie event. It's an economic development program. We allow our businesses to be able to showcase whether their food or their businesses to other people outside of Brea, and to be able to come in, and that creates economic growth and prosperity, because then they come back to Brea to be able to repatriate funds. There's other opportunities too. There's a couple programs with the state of California. It's where they do training for large businesses. I think Zeb, you're also working on that program too. Trying to think here. It's really demonstrating the value, doing a tiered membership program. I'm a big advocate for that, because now your business can see the deliverables. I paid for A, B, C, and D. I got A, B, C, and D. I got exactly what I wanted. And so those type of programs, I think, generate revenue rather quickly. And that's what folks are looking for. They're looking for kind of the return on investment. What did I get from the chamber that helped me with my business? Not run my business, but help me support my business. And I think if you keep that in mind, that you need to know your community, is that although we're neighbors, your community might as well be on a different planet than mine. And so when you know the culture of your community and the predominant industries, you create programming for those particular industries. So for example, here in Brea, the predominant industries are retail, hospitality, and manufacturing. And so the programs I created center around retail. Obviously, we have the Brea Mall, a regional premier shopping experience. Restaurant rich here, got some of the best dining you've got here in North Orange County. And then we've got a large manufacturing component that a lot of folks don't know about. A lot of aerospace here in Brea, a lot in terms of the manufacturing piece. And so you create programs that support that. So when you're looking at restaurants, you might do like a restaurant loyalty program to encourage people to patronize. If they're going to go out to eat, I'll probably go to this restaurant first. If you're looking at retail, again, a predominant industry, we showcase those particular industries that you can't find it in Brea, it doesn't exist. I mean, that's kind of our tagline. And then for manufacturing, we do roundtables where industry experts can come out and be able to share with them best practices, or maybe doing manufacturing and working overseas in terms of different partnerships, exportation. So you build your programming around your predominant industries. And the programming I do here in Brea may fall flat in Chino Valley. The programming you do over there may fall flat over here. Really, what I would tell execs is know your community. Know your community. This is my third chamber. I worked out a chamber in Riverside and then one in the San Gabriel Valley. Same thing, different cultures, different type of industries. Build your programming around those industries that are predominant in your particular community.
And I know that you shared your success story, but how about a memory? Like, what's one of your fondest memories of being a chamber executive?
Oh my goodness. Wow. I'm going to have to fast forward here again to COVID and the state regulated shutdowns. And again, while it was exhausting, talking to some of our business, both large and small business owners, and be able to problem solve with them. I mean, we would have business owners in tears, men, women, large, small. That's their lifeblood. And that I was able to give them information or be able to help solve whatever situation they have and keep them in business. And so as I walk away from this chamber and I look back at some of the fondest memories, I mean, I've got some great stories of events and things that made me laugh a lot. But where I can walk away knowing I made a difference in this community. It's kind of like the old, It's a Wonderful Life story. If George Bailey had not been born, how different the community would be. And I love that, watching that at the holidays, because it reminds me of chamber execs. If your chamber exec wasn't there doing the hard work behind the scenes or even out in front, your community would be very different. And so that's what I kind of walk away with. It's just, I made a difference. I kept businesses in business. I was able to create programs for a variety of different sectors that were able to support them.
You're probably in a similar boat as I am, right? We have a very small penetration into the businesses that are part of chambers of commerce. And how do we get more people to see that? How do you get more people to recognize that it is important to invest in your chamber? That when you do that as a business owner, you're building a better community and you're helping make a difference for the better. How can we solve that problem?
Sure, there's a couple of things that first come to mind, Zeb, is I think we as chambers, we love what we do and we don't brag about ourselves enough. I think we've heard that across our industry. We don't tell our story often enough of the success stories and the wonderful things that we've done to be able to help our communities. We need to be able to tell our story more. And so I think that's one component too. Another one for me personally was maybe about 5 years back. The city council wanted to do a 1 cent sales tax. And again, I shared one of our predominant industries is retail. So I went to our larger retailers and I told them whether they're big box or the mall and said, this is what your city council wants to propose. Well, you better believe they started joining the chamber, because that would have really impacted their bottom line. And so it's being able to demonstrate that it's not only the fun things that we do, but it's that advocacy effort and we were able to stop that 1 cent sales tax. I went to city council meetings. I was very upfront with city staff. We will not support you on this. We're opposing this. This is going to impact business. Yeah, you better believe people started joining when they heard that it was going to impact their bottom line. So it's putting the kind of connecting the dots of this is what your chamber does for you. Most recently, Zeb, and I think you were part of it too, is AB 1400, where they wanted to do a mandate for all businesses, basically universal health care. And through the California Chamber of Commerce, we all banded together and we were able to fight that piece of legislation. That would have been devastating for small businesses in terms of hitting their bottom line. So it's also demonstrating that advocacy piece. We are at the front lines fighting for you to ensure that you're able to run your business. But I think when it gets back a little bit more personal, like it did it here in Brea, when I told them they're going to increase your sales tax, following year they tried to increase the business license fee. Same thing. We told them this is not going to happen. We're going to oppose this. This is not helpful. I was very fortunate at that time. I had a grad student. I had to write up a beautiful document demonstrating the negative impact of raising either sales tax or business license fees. A lot of data, presented it to the council. Next meeting, they decided not to do it. So that's where I think when you go back and ask, sharing why you should join your local chamber, we are advocating for your business while you're running your business.
Yeah.
We're out there, we're leading the charge. We're at city council meetings, we're at planning commission meetings, we're at county meetings. We're out there fighting for you. And so that's where, as a business owner, invest in your local chamber, because we're miracle workers on behalf of business. We truly are.
Yeah, and then this is my last question for you is I'm 3 years into being a chamber executive, and I love advice. What advice would you give to somebody who is just entering into their careers in the chamber world? What is something you feel like that if you had known going in, it would have saved you a lot of heartache, or it would have helped you be more successful?
Well, it's funny you asked that. The first year I got into chamber work, kind of like you, it's like, oh my goodness, what did I get myself into? But I really want to advocate for the academy program through WACE, the Western Associated Chamber Executives. That second year I got plugged in, and that was the best decision I ever made. Not only for training, but the networking. I developed a strong network of chamber execs, my go-to. Many of you have the same one, Zeb, where when I got stuck, I was able to call my colleagues and go, what would you do? I learned more from my other chamber execs than I do from anything else. I'm very grateful for that. After I got my ACE, I went into the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Institute program. I have my IOM, and that's more sophisticated training that you get as a chamber exec. And again, I have a strong network of chamber execs across this country. So if I get stuck about something, or I've got a question, or I want somebody in the outside to kind of give me some hard feedback that maybe I can't get here locally, I can call my friend in Kyle, Texas, or in Kansas City, Missouri, or in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and be able to say, I've got this situation or this program, what would you do to develop it? And so I with new staff here at the Brea Chamber, I said, start building a network of colleagues that you can call and be honest with and get good feedback to help you expand a program, develop a program, or maybe even just problem solve. That's what I love about this industry, is that we're all so sharing. There's not a lot of ego, and that, like Zeb, I've called you and, hey, can you send me what you do on this particular program? And I slapped my logo on it, and now it's mine, and I've done the same for you. I learn from each other. So if you're a new chamber exec, start building a network of execs that you respect, that are like in community, meaning size, demographic. You're going to need those go-to people, and they can give you some of the best advice. And that's why I think I survived at least the 15 years. I've got to thank all my colleagues that might be watching this. It's you that helped me get to this point. It wasn't anything I did.
I doubt that, because I know you do a lot. But I also, I do want to thank you, because you not only are we neighbors, but you have been a resource for me. And so I've called you up on many occasions. I remember calling you up during COVID about some unique situations we're having here. So I just really want to say thank you for your support and guidance and mentorship. So I know that the chamber world is going to miss you, but I know that you will also still be around to help out others. Is there anything else that you want to share or highlight before we say goodbye?
Well, I think, I'm going to do a shameless plug. That's what chambers do. I want to encourage our folks to join their local chamber of commerce, and then to my fellow colleagues and execs that, like I said, I'm not leaving entirely. I'm available for consulting, interim work. I know during COVID, many of us became quite fatigued. And so I think offering opportunities to have an experienced chamber exec come in for a couple of weeks to give your current exec a break, a true break, really unplug. I think there's some opportunities there, governance, strategic planning, board development. And so I'm still going to be around to be able to support my colleagues because I do believe in chambers of commerce. We are the hub. We work with government and residents and community and businesses, and we coalesce all that information and then get it out to others to build strong communities. You see a strong community, you'll see a strong chamber. And I know that's very true for Chino and Chino Hills. It's your work, Zeb. It's the chamber, and that's what's really helped build those two strong communities out there. It's the work you do.
Well, thank you very much, Heidi. Thank you for chatting with me. Enjoy retirement, and I'm sure we will be seeing a lot more of you in the future.
Thank you, Zeb, very much.
All right.